Welcome, Foundry community, to the Forien's Questlog relaunch overview video. Now, before we get started, I just kind of want to introduce myself. My name is Michael Leahy. I go by TyphonJS on the various Foundry Discord servers. Now, TyphonJS is actually like a suite of JavaScript modules that I've released for Node, and many work in the browser as well. I'll actually be using several of those for my future Foundry modules. Now, I do kind of just want to give a little bit of a background of my experience with software development. I've been a 20-year, plus expert, and mostly have worked as a professional tech consultant for my majority of my career. And what that really kind of entails is fixing client products, from startups to large corporations. Often kind of coming in at the tail end of a product development cycle and just rescuing a flailing project. So it's not much different from like what I did with Forien's Questlog, which was not in the best state before I got started with the rewrite. So, but I do want to kind of talk about some of the the aspects of the skills that were involved in the Forien's Questlog rewrite. That really is like wearing the debugger, architect, and finisher hats. And these are skills that you develop over many years of practice as a software developer. Not everybody can wear the finisher hat, and that really just entails crossing the T's and dotting the I's. It's a very laborious process of finishing any product to bring it up to high levels of professional standards. So that's what I brought to this FQL rewrite. Now, I do want to kind of talk about some of the reasons, again, Forien's Questlog, it was just breaking down in the 0.8.6 and 0.7.10 launches of Foundry Core. There were content sanitation filters introduced into Foundry that, just were misconfigured at first. They got fixed in 0.8.7. But it really kind of tanked the old Forien's Questlog and caused data corruption. So that was just, that was just a strike. It lit the fire under my tail to do this rewrite. But furthermore, in the future, I have like great ambitions for creating a suite of modules for Foundry that allow the open world style of GM or campaign management, and they're going to be system agnostic. But central to that really is a well-functioning Questlog. So instead of writing my own, I thought it would be best just to rewrite FQL because it was a much beloved module, and that seemed to make the most sense. So I do want to point out that you can see down on the left-hand side of this video that I do have a new Discord server that I started. So if you want to get in contact and keep updated on a new Forien's Questlog advancements and other Foundry module development that I do, please join the TyphonJS Discord server. I also stream on Twitch, and it's kind of fun because I love sharing as much of my programming experience and knowledge with others. So I do a lot of streaming on Twitch, so I'll have the links down below for all this stuff too. And I love to talk shop, so just drop into the Twitch streams whenever I'm doing them. And feel free to DM me, on the Foundry Discord, servers, or just get in touch with me directly. Now, I do want to kind of point out some of the cool assets and give credit to the content creators that I'm utilizing to make this video. And first and foremost, these awesome backgrounds that we see are from James's RPG art. And a little bit later, we'll have some animated or video battle maps from Epic Quest, and I've used a couple tokens from Forgotten Adventures. And those are 3 content creators that I support through Patreon, so I'll have the links below for you to also find their work. And the music that we're listening to, awesome stuff. It's 2 modules that are freely available on the Foundry platform. The first one is tabletop RPG music. And the second one, it was just released, I think, in the last week by Ivan Duke, composer. That love it. It's fantastic music. Go check them out. The links will be down below. But I do want to talk about the rewrite effort. It's basically occurred between the first week of June and about the second week of July. And I spent over 350 hours on this rewrite. So it was quite laborious and compacted into a very short amount of time. So I worked in what's called crunch mode, or just busted my tail to get this rewrite done as quickly as possible. And some of the stats behind it, like the original Forien's questlog repo repository for the source code had 56 commits, and this rewrite was over 300 commits, or new additions of source added to the project. So it definitely was quite a bit of work. Now I gotta say, there were 3 releases over this time. About June 25th, the initial relaunch occurred, the 0.7.3 versions of Forien's questlog. And that was just as things sort of got, a little bit stable. And, it's what I consider what's called the MVP, or minimum viable product. And, that was great. Like, there was tons of positive response and feedback. And a fair amount of that, I was able to take some of that feedback from the larger community. And one of them was like, one of the things shared was to improve the workflow, and that's something that got into the 0.7.4 version of Forien's questlog, was just an improved and efficient workflow for quest creation. And another feedback was just expanded player editing, and so that turned into the trusted player edit feature, and we'll discuss all that a little bit later. But I really appreciate the community feedback, because that really helped to provide just some additional features that got into the rewrite, along with my vision for a much improved core architecture for Forien's questlog that brought a lot of performance. It's really quite different from the old version. And that really, like, one of the big achievements was in-memory DB, brings a lot of performance. And the code quality of just the code base itself, like, there's tons of comments cross-linked and, between the different various areas of the source code. It's a great example. If you're a developer, I'd highly recommend looking at Forien's questlog as an example of, a high-quality module. But I super want to see this thing used in a West March campaign. A lot of core multi-user aspects are significantly improved in the new Forien's questlog. But yeah, what we're going to cover in this video, 5 things really. What's it going to be like when you upgrade to the latest version? And I know a lot of people already have, but there's a DB migration process. And with ongoing new versions, there'll probably be more migration aspects in the future. So we'll cover that. Like, what are the new macros? That was definitely the biggest question on the Discord server. There's some new macros. We'll cover the new quest creation workflow. That's definitely something that you're going to want to know, some of the ramifications for the new quest creation workflow. Go through a feature rundown, including trusted player edit. But I'd like to end up with like a brief comparison of the old FQL versus the new FQL. We'll just kind of touch on a couple things, like what makes it so special. And, I'm going to spend probably about another 150 to 200 hours of refinement on FQL and really just make it into a lean questing machine. Some of the cool things that you'll see in the future are advanced sorting. And I really can't wait to, implement most of the enhancements that are in the issue tracker. I'll list the repo for Forien's questlog below. So go check it out. If you have an enhancement idea, feel free to share it. I mean, if you find any bugs or issues or something that doesn't work with Forien's questlog, please file that as well. I'm definitely going to get everything tip-top. It should be right now. But do get in touch and share your enhancement ideas. Let's just dig in. Let's get going. Let's go take a look at a couple things. So thanks again. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the future of Forien's questlog, and can't wait to get out a larger suite of modules for open world campaign style of GMing. Thank you. So the first thing that I want to cover is just what to expect when you run Forien's questlog for the first time and the migration process that occurs. Now, if you're upgrading from the old Forien's quest log to the new Forien's quest log, there is going to be a DB migration step. And it's great because if you have corrupted data in your old quest data, it's going to be able to reverse those changes or reverse that damage. So let's go and take a look at what happens when you enable Forien's quest log for the first time. This is a new world with just a couple quests added to the from the quest log. So we save migration settings so we can see it runs, migration 1 and 2. If you've already installed Forien's quest log, it will run migration 2. If you've installed the relaunch from 2 weeks ago and are installing 0.7.4, you'll just see a DB migration step 2 or schema 2. So now, what if you created a server and you've already installed Forien's quest log, but you haven't transferred over your quests yet? Well, there's now a macro that you can run. And oops, I just pressed it, so you can see we ran migration again. So if you're a GM, and I'm gonna zoom in on this so that we can see it. And this is the macro that you run to be able to run migration at any time. Now you don't have to do this. It's going to be set up so when you install a recent version of Forien's quest log, it'll auto migrate, and it saves it in the settings. But this is how you actually manually run the migration if you have to. Now the next macro that I want to look at is how do we open up the quest log? See if we press this button here, the quest log opens. Let's just take a quick look at it. Everybody's been asking about this macro. And so it's hooks.call Forien quest log open quest log. If you want to open up the floating quest log, just type in floating. So the other way that you actually access the quest log, you can go over to the journal tab. You can hit the quest log button right here. That'll open it up. And it's also accessible over on the journal tab over here, where we have this tab over here. And the floating quest log is right here. Now, before we dive into looking at the quest log proper, I want to talk about a client setting to enable the quest tracker. So if you go over to configure settings and module settings, you'll notice here, enable quest tracker. Now, this is a setting, a client setting for every user every player needs to enable this setting to show the quest tracker. If we hit save changes here, you'll notice we have the quest tracker pop up over here on the right. Now, if we open the quest log, we'll see under the active tab or in progress tab, we have a bunch of different quests, and the quest tracker and also the floating quest log represents the tasks that are in the in progress category. Now, some of the cool improvements to the quest tracker are the ability to now click on the actual names themselves, and you'll see it's synced here. We're using session storage now to sync the open and close state of each of the individual quests. So if you have a quest that has a lot of tasks, everything starts minimized when you first open up FQL for a session. But this session is saved over reloads. And once again, you can click here to open up and view individual tasks. And you can click here to open up the individual quests themselves. There is a very useful macro that you can drop into the hotbar to control the quest tracker. As you can see here, when I click on this, it hides and then it shows. And like a lot of settings in the module settings for FQL, we can define macros to control them. And this particular macro simply reverses or flips the state of enable quest tracker. And that's going to allow you to be able to hide and show the quest tracker. So it's a very handy macro to put on your hotbar to interact with FQL. Now, in the near future, we're going to enable or provide a couple of macro compendiums that define all the different macros that you can use to control FQL. There'll be one for the GM that contains extra GM macros, but then there'll be one for the general player as well. And quest tracker macro is definitely going to be one of them. Now let's take a look at some of the essential controls over the quests in the quest system. If you're the GM, or in the near future we're going to talk about trusted player edit, you're going to have a lot of controls over here on the right side by each quest. And what these different buttons do, as you can see here, you will get tooltips when you hover over them. It changes the category of the quest location, and we're selected on the In Progress tab right now. So we can mark quests as completed, failed, set back to inactive, and then also we can make them available. And one thing you're going to notice, especially if you look through the settings, there's no longer a setting for the available tab to turn it on and off. It's always going to be displayed. So there's always going to be the possibility of making quests available. So let's select that here right now. And we can see, get a UI message here saying it's moved to available. And we can make it active or inactive. We are now split screen, showing the quest log with the game master on the left and a standard player on the right. You'll notice that the standard player doesn't have an inactive tab. As the game master, the inactive tab is where you store quests that are currently not accessible by a standard player. When we talk about trusted player edit, trusted players will be able to see an inactive tab, but only for the quests that they have ownership under. So if we go back over here to the In Progress tab, we can see that we have the controls as the game master to control the quests, but the player does not. Now there is a module setting that we're going to take a look at right now, and that is to give the player the ability to accept quests. So once we select this and hit Save Changes, you'll notice that the player now has some controls over here. And one of the features added in the rewrite of Forien's quest log is the ability to put quests back into the available category. And so players with this ability to accept quests also can put quests back into the available category. So if we go over to the available category, you can see on the game master side, we can set things as inactive, but the players can only accept quests. Just to the left of the category controls for quests, you can see this column here, and that marks objectives, completed objectives on the left and total objectives on the right. Now there are a couple of options in the configuration settings, and let's first take a look at what objectives are. We open up the quest details. Objectives are a list of tasks. It can also include subquests as objectives. As we can see here, there's actually a hidden objective. So right now it shows 0 of 2. Open this guy up again, put it down here, but let's go to the configuration settings. And we can select Count Hidden Tasks. Now you'll see over here on the player side, it'll say 0 of 3 once we do that. And so that module setting will count the total tasks, even hidden tasks, from the player. Now there's a couple other settings here. Show tasks in quest log. You can actually select hide the objective column. So we see it'll completely disappear if we select that. But we can also select show just the done tasks or done objectives. A great suggestion that came in from the Foundry community after the initial MVP relaunch of Forien's quest log was the work on the workflow for the quest creation process. Previously, there used to be a button at the bottom down here to add quests, but it's now moved up to the top right. When we click on it, we jump right into the quest details page to edit that quest. Now, there are a couple things that you have to keep in mind by this new workflow. The major ramification is that we immediately have to create a quest in the system. And so once you hit add quest, there will be a new quest added. Now you can see our tab switched to inactive, and the new quest was put under the inactive tab. So any quest that you add, it's not going to be immediately visible by your players. And we can jump right in here and just start editing the quest. We'll take a little bit more of an in-depth look at the quest details page soon. But this new workflow is fantastic. As you can see, we can just immediately create a lot of quests pretty quickly. You'll notice that if you try to hit the Add Quest tab again, it's not going to let you. We can even put this back to the foreground, and it's going to make the current quest that was just added the topmost app. So this prevents you from quickly just hitting a bunch of buttons and adding a bunch of quests, and that's by design. You have to actually close this quest details page to be able to add another quest. Now the same thing happens too when we go over to the Manage Quest tab and we have Add Subquest. You can't actually add a subquest immediately to a new quest. So you do have to close it, open it up, and then go to the Manage page and hit Add Quest. Each new quest that you create requires you to at least close the window before you can create a new quest. Now we did just create a bunch of new quests, but we're just going to make them active just so that you could see. We'll make a couple active over here, and we'll go to the In Progress page, and we'll take a look at deleting quests. Now, one of the nice GUI enhancements of the new FQL is that there's a semi-modal dialog, such that if it gets hidden and you hit delete again, it'll pop up. And you can see here it shares one dialog, across all the different delete actions. So simply right-click or left-click the garbage icon and then hit delete, and that will delete a quest. And one of the cool things too, I suppose, while we have it up here, if the player has that quest open and you delete it, it immediately disappears for the player. So that is definitely a very, very handy feature to prevent players from continuing to view quests that have been deleted. The next set of module settings that we're going to take a look at for Forien's quest log involve allowing your players to actually create quests. Now, for them to be able to successfully create quests for the player level, you're going to have to open up the configure permissions and grant the create journal entries. Forien's quest log actually stores all the quest data under journal entries. So we do have to grant players that ability to create journal entries. You can see Trusted Player and Hire automatically has this privilege. So once we set that, we can go over to the module settings, and you can see here, players can create quests. We're going to OK that, but before we do, we're also going to look at default quest permission level. So for players to be able to see quests, it has to be observer or hire, observer or owner. You can also set the default permission to none, which will always make quests a personal quest when they are created. We will take a look at permissions in a little bit more detail later, so we're not going to change the default permission level here. But we are going to grant, players can create quests. So the second that we hit save changes here, we'll notice over on the player side that the add quest button will appear. Now when a player creates a quest, they don't have access to the inactive tab. And so when they create it, you'll notice that it'll go over to the available tab. And players who are owners of quests can edit the quest name. They can drag and drop. Let's see here, let me just select the compendium. They can drag and drop and set the quest giver. And they also have access to editing the description. and objectives. So this is what it looks like for players to be able to edit quests. They only have access to those 4 areas, and when they create quests, it will be placed into the Available tab. And you can see that they can immediately accept quests. To edit the quest details, click on a quest, and the quest details page will open up. Now we just clicked on the player quest that was just created by this player. And one thing I want to kind of note before we move on, you'll see over here as far as player edit is concerned, they don't have the ability to hide tasks. So that's only something that Trusted Player Edit and GMs can do. But the options available for GMs are split up into 3 different sub-tabs. First is just the main details page. There's a GM notes section where you can write down specific notes that are hidden from all players, including players that have Trusted Player Edit. And then there's a Manage Quest tab. So the Manage Quest tab allows you to add subquests, set a splash image, and also configure the permissions for the quest. We'll first take a look at the details page, and we're actually going to delete the current quest giver and talk about the process of what you can actually do for different quest givers. So one of the nice new things with the Forien's quest log relaunch is that quest givers and objectives or rewards can come from compendiums now. You don't have to use world items. And that's a huge boon when it comes to not having to load items into the world or work only with players or actors, like having a specific actor that you're going to create as a quest giver. So I'm just going to open up the starter heroes over here. So you can see we can drag and drop anything from a compendium. You can also use items as a quest giver. So you could drop in the abacus. Maybe you won't have an abacus as your quest giver. Maybe it's going to be I don't know, a special ring or something like that. I don't know. But we can also drop in journal entries. Now I don't think I actually have let's see here. I'm just going to pull up this journal entry and I'm going to set the image. Let's see here. Just so that we have an image associated with the journal entry. I'm just going to select that. All right. So now that there's an image selected with or associated with the journal entry, we'll actually see an entry or image for the quest giver. One other option that you have is to actually left click here and you can select an image and create a custom quest giver. So that's something that isn't a actor item or a journal entry. And it could be anything like that you decide to associate an image with. So let me go back here and go to tokens and I will select construct. All right, flying sword. So once you've selected the custom quest giver, you now have the option to actually edit the name here. So I just put in super sword. But we'll go over here and you can see you can edit the quest name. One of the new little just UX enhancements is that if you want to not save your edit, you can press escape, and that will cancel the edit for any of these single line input fields. To save the edit though, you just hit enter. Now, we do have controls over here that are the exact same that we have over here for the quest log. And you have the same exact control actions based on the current state of the quest. Up over here to the right, in the top right title bar, you can see that we can actually grab the quest content link. So that's something that you can now paste into a journal entry or even the player's biography section. For now, I'll just open up the TinyMCE and show you what a content link looks like for a quest. So objectives are just, different objectives and tasks that a particular quest might have. I'm not really being too fancy here in the data that I'm entering. I will show a couple other of the quests that I've created. But you'll see over here when you add a new task or objective for, as the GM or a trusted player, it's going to come up hidden. So that allows you to add new objectives while actual players might be looking at the quest. You can reorder objectives. And, let's actually go look at a quest that has more stuff filled out. Ah, yes, Kill the Rats. A quest that always seems to be on the proverbial list of things to do at the beginning of a campaign. But over here, we have a custom quest giver. I have a couple of objectives, and we'll open it up over here with the player as well. So down in the rewards section, there's two different types of rewards. You have abstract awards, which could be anything that you decide to enter, and you also have rewards that you can drop in from a compendium. You can also use your actual, I don't think I have any items here, so you can use world items or you can use compendium items to drop in. And the nice thing we'll take a look at in just a little bit is that you can drag and drop rewards at the end of a quest. Well, let me just add another item here as a reward. So you just drag and drop it over here to this section, and as you can see, it comes in hidden, so that again, if the player was looking at that quest at that particular moment, they won't know that you added a new reward. Maybe your players are doing great with the current quest, and you want to give them a little extra reward for how well they've done at the for the current objectives or whatever the quest entails. But over here you can hide rewards. So if you want to keep them hidden from your players, all you have to do is click on the eye icons, and this lock icon prevents players from being able to open up the item sheet. Now, as the GM, you can always open up the item sheet. And so if we make this visible here, you can see that it's locked for the player, and the player is not going to be able to open up the item sheet even if it's visible. So you can unlock it, and now the player is going to be able to open up the item sheet. So that's a very handy new feature of the Forien's quest log relaunch. Now we do have some buttons here that just make it quick, possible to quickly show all the rewards, and then also unlock all the rewards. Like at the end of a quest, you can just hit those two buttons to quickly do those two actions and not have to click through all these icons. Now there is the ability to add an abstract reward, and that allows you to type in anything. So let's see here. I'll just put in fireflies, first thing that came to my mind. You'll see that it's got a default icon, but we can click over here and we can select anything from our local images. So I'll just go to, I believe, is it consumables? I don't know. We'll just go to food and pick a nice bowl of salad. Now a new feature too with the rewrite is the ability to pop open an image for the abstract quest, and you can share that with players. So I just hit that show to players button, so that allows you to show your players what they're gonna get with that abstract reward. And when things are unlocked, your players can also open up an image to get a better view of that abstract reward. The last area to discuss on the details tab is the TinyMCE editor. Now there are different options for the Forien quest log TinyMCE editor. You'll notice that there's no source code editing, and that's just to be able to provide, TinyMCE provides sanitation for scripts. Like, you don't want players to enter in script data that can be executed on other people's machines, so that is removed. Now I do want to point out with TinyMCE, there's like a bunch of keyboard commands over here on the right. If you just do a search for keyboard shortcuts, you'll come across the list of all the different keyboard shortcuts, and they're very handy to just kind of know. It's kind of like a normal word processor to begin with. Anyway, like hit Control B for bold, Control U for underline, Control I for italic. But there's all sorts of different keyboard shortcuts for selecting different headers of all this Alt Shift 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and some of these don't work, but most of them do. And one that's really handy to know too is just Control S will save the editor, and so that you don't have to go up to the bar here and hit this button. Now one thing too that actually is added custom to Forien's quest log is the escape button. The escape button just quits editing and cancels it without accepting anything. So here I'll just put in a bunch of exclamation marks, and I'll just hit escape, and you can see that it is removed. One of the nice things too with the Forien's quest log rewrite is that if you're editing this field here, the description, and same thing for GM Notes as well. GM Notes is also a TinyMCE editor. But if you hit close, it'll automatically save all the fields, including the single input lines. So like if I start editing this here and I hit close, it'll actually save it, so that if you forget to save it yourself, whenever you close something and there's an open editor, it will save. So one other thing that you can actually do with Forien's quest log, with the editing field here, you can put in images or like YouTube links, and have them display as video. So let me see here. I think I have, this is just the YouTube video from the Foundry homepage. And the way you go about doing that is just hit the plus sign here, hit the media button, pop it in. 450 is the approximate width. Ooh, okay, I guess it's even a little less than that. Let's see here. I'm just going to delete that and give that another try. I thought it was 450. Yeah, I'll try 420. Yeah, so that'll fit just within the display here. And yeah, you can have videos and all sorts of content links. One other thing to remember with TinyMCE is that you can actually drag and drop. So not that this is any great content over here, but you can just select a bunch of content from a web page and just drop it in, and it will copy the styles and such. So it's a quick way to get content into TinyMCE, and that about covers TinyMCE. I guess one other thing I forgot to mention here is that just with the objectives, you check things off for whether they're completed, failed. Failed is going to be with the line through it. And there are a couple more module settings that are applicable to the quest details page. Let's pop up a barbarian and take a look. And pop it up on the player side over here on the right. So the quest is finished, and we have subdued the barbarian, and we show all and unlock all. Now there is the option to let the players drag and drop quest rewards onto their player sheet, and that only works for items, not the abstract rewards. But we have to go up to the module settings and select allow player reward dragging. And there's another option down here, show reward drop notifications. And that's for GMs to see a UI message when the reward has been dropped into a player sheet that informs which player, which reward got dropped. So let me pull up my player sheets here. Oh, did I not? I might not have assigned. Let's see here. Yeah, let's do that. Oh. All right. So here's the player sheet, and as you can see, we can go over to the inventory, and we can drag and drop a reward. Sometimes Foundry doesn't really like to. There we go. So you can see the UI message over here, and it removes it from the rewards of the quest. Let's talk about the other two tabs on the quest details page. That is GM Notes. This is actually just a straight up TinyMCE editor. It allows you to just put in notes, and you can drag and drop all sorts of Foundry items that provide content links that might help you organize information about this quest. So if we go over to the users page, they won't have these tabs. So manage quest. Here we can set a splash image for our quest. And let me go into, let's go into the D&D 5e system. Oh, let's see. I'll just do skills. Kind of like this one at the end here. And one thing you might notice that is new is that you can now use the splash image as the quest icon. You can see over here on the user's side, on this details page, this is where you can actually pull up and view the splash image. But by selecting this checkbox right here, you can see how we can use the splash image as the icon for the quest. Adding a subquest, you just simply push this button. You do get launched right into directly into the subquest editing process. You'll see that subquest is in the inactive category. If we go back to the details page, we actually see it listed under our objectives. Subquests are also considered an objective or a task to complete. We have control over starting it. So when we started it, you can see it showed up over here for the player. And you can also see that in the list or the main quest log, it shows up and identifies itself as a quest or subquest of a barbarian. Or actually, no, it's the homeland one. No, the quest log currently is alphabetically or alpha sorted, and that's the case for everything except for the completed and failed tabs, which are sorted chronologically by the end when the quest was ended. So if we end, let's see, let's complete a cleric, then find White Oak, and then the herbalist hut. If we go over to completed, we could see that it's reverse chronological order. So it kind of gives you a good idea of like which quests were completed in which order. But let's go back over to the permissions page. One thing I want to kind of show here actually is you can see how Slay the Gargoyle is a subquest of Slay the Angel of Decay. But Slay the Angel of Decay has permission settings, if you go to the configure permissions here, to none. So that means no players can actually see it. And if we actually pop up the quest tracker, let's see here, I'm gonna have to go to the settings. So this is another thing. If you lose the quest tracker, you can just hit the reset background here, and it will pop up, or at least reposition it so that you can see it again. So with the default permission for all players set to none, and no players having particular individual permissions, that makes the quest completely hidden. So we can actually see that up here, and it's great. We get a little hidden notification in the GUI all over the place. So down here we can also see that it's completely hidden. And if we go look over at the player's quest log and Slay the Gargoyle, it doesn't identify itself as a subquest, and that's because the parent quest is hidden. Now, in a very similar way, we can go back over to the Manage Quest tab and see. Let's see. This is Cadius. We're gonna make it observer level for Merland, so that changes it to a personal quest, and it still stays hidden over here because this particular player doesn't have access to this particular parent quest. But if we change this to default observer, you can now see that it the parent quest immediately displays, and it Slay the Gargoyle identifies itself as a subquest of that particular parent quest. So yes, if you want to set things to be a personal quest, you'll set none, and then you'll set the specific observer or owner category for the specific players. And one nice thing too about the personal quests, you can hold your mouse over the icon and it'll show you which players are assigned to it. Likewise up here in the quest tracker too, you can do the same thing. One of the great suggestions by the larger Foundry community after the initial MVP relaunch of Forien's quest log at the end of June is to provide expanded player editing of quests. It turns out, there's some campaigns and there's some GMs that just really want to give their players like full use of the quest log when it comes to creating and editing quests. And I suppose you just got to put your players to work sometimes. So I'm logged in as Merland on the right, which is a trusted player, which is a level above player in the overall user permissions. And let's open up a barbarian again. And as you can see here, there's no editing capabilities. We will give Merland owner status, and right now you can see it's just like normal player editing when a player is the owner. But if we go over to this configuration setting and tick allow trusted player quest editing. Save changes, and you can see over here on the right that Merlin now has access to fully editing the quest, including the rewards. And this is going to be handy for, I mean, I can really see this being used in a West Marches type situation. And just other campaigns where you want to give your players full access. Now, the one thing you'll notice that the trusted player does have access to the management page, where you can add subquests, change the splash art, and even configure permissions. This is something that, you know, a trusted player is going to have to be careful, because they can actually get rid of their ownership of a quest. Although that is set to observer, I'm going to set it to none. And if they accidentally get rid of their own permissions for editing, well, you know, they just lost access to that quest. In that case, that was actually, you know, set to completely hidden. Now let's go take a look at when they create a quest. You'll see that a trusted player with the edit capability has access to the inactive tab. If we go down to the inactive tab, actually we have none inactive here. Let's just make a couple of these inactive. If we go to the inactive tab with the trusted player, you can see the GM can see these inactive quests, but the player, or the trusted player over on the right, can't. So trusted players can only see inactive quests that they own. Now we can create a new quest, and that'll create it in the inactive tab. So let's go here, trusted player quest. So you can see that the trusted player of edit has full capabilities for, we just made it active. And you can see over here on the quests that they don't have ownership for, they just have the normal player can accept options for changing the status. But on the quests that they actually own, they have full capabilities to manipulate it in the status category, whether it's completed, failed, or even deleting it. So trusted player edit, you know, just certainly expands the flexibility of Forien's quest log for certain campaigns where the GM just wants to open up the quest log for players to have full access. I do want to cover just a few odds and ends that I skipped over previously regarding the quest log main window here. Now you can actually drag and drop quests down to the macro bar, and that allows you to directly open a quest from the macro bar. And if we actually go open a player's screen or actor sheet, you can drag and drop quests into a player's sheet as a content link. So that way you can actually associate with players directly all sorts of like quest information. And likewise with journal entries, anywhere where you can drag and drop a content link, you can do that with quests. Just drag it in here, save it, and let me make sure that we can see it over here on the player side. Let me give the permission here to observer. And you can open up the quest. So the last really cool feature of Forien's quest log in the 0.7 relaunch is the ability to completely hide the quest log from players and make it a GM-only tool. That way you can organize all your quests and even have a task list of things that you're going to do during a particular campaign session. And your players will be none the wiser that you're using Forien's quest log. Now that's over in the module setting, hide quest log from players. You tick that off and hit save changes, and boom, over here on the player side, the quest log completely disappears and is inaccessible. You know, no button down here. Even if they have the launch macro, if they try to select it, it's not going to launch the quest log. The buttons over here are gone. And the fun thing, you want to give it back to players. Just untick it, and the quest log is back. So this is definitely like a handy tool for GMs that want to just use the quest log personally and not expose it to any players. And just like the show and hide quest tracker, we can also create a macro that can show and hide FQL. So I admit this video ran a little long. There's just so many cool things to talk about when it comes to new features with Forien's quest log. I do want to show like all the game systems that I tested FQL with. I tested it against the top 20 different game systems. And, you know, I kind of mentioned doing like a comparison of the old FQL and the new FQL. There's not really going to be time for that, but I do want to show off some cool UX improvements that the new FQL really shows off. So I'm going to look at the 2D6 game system, and they do a little bit of interesting UI rescanning. And so Forien's quest log adopts the system look and feel out of the box without any custom CSS necessary. And that didn't happen previously. The tabs over here would use, you know, the stock CSS, but by default, the background image is applied to the tabs, and that just makes things really nice. And so, yeah, you know, there's a couple different systems, and I suppose we can hop over into, I believe it is, I want to say Dark Eye. No, background setup or anything like that. But yeah, we can see that Forien's quest log looks great out of the box on many different game systems, especially the ones that do change the look and feel. So one last thing that I want to take a look at before we wrap up this relaunch overview video is just the window management. It's kind of like a cool feature that you might not notice it at first. But so when I load up Forien's quest log here, and I load up a quest, and you can open up like many different items. You know, so you'd have all these windows open. Certainly with the old FQL, it would leave all those windows open if you close the quest. I'll even open up the splash page. It's a big splash page actually. Big splash image. So let me get the quest up here. So when you actually close the quest details for a given quest, it'll close all the windows, and so it's just super handy. It's just some management aspects that are built into the new Forien's quest log. And so if I log in as the player over here, we'll actually see that the same thing happens when they lose visibility on a particular quest. So let's actually make those rewards visible. And the player can now open all those up as well. And I'm not going to delete the quest, but the same thing would happen if you delete the quest. But yeah, if this quest goes away, basically if I change the permissions to none, you'll see that over on the player side, just everything cleans up nicely. And that's just like one of the really cool new just UX features of Forien's quest log. Now, once again, thank you so much for sticking around and checking out some of the new features of the Forien's quest log. I'm really looking forward to putting in like a fair amount of time over the next couple of months. And one of the things that I'm really looking forward to is advanced sorting over here in this main quest log screen. All sorts of different options from priority to location to user tagging. Lots of different sorting options are going to be available in an upcoming release of Forien's quest log. But once again, thank you for tuning in, and happy questing.